Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Weebin Out podcast. We are on episode 5 now, amazingly enough. I am your hostiest supreme, Ryan, and I'm joined, as usual, by the ever so lovely Jake and the finally got a goddamn camera, Joey.
Yeah, it's about time.
Anyways, there's going to be spoilers for Hero Academia and JJK, Jujutsu Kaisen. There will be timestamps to avoid any of those spoilers if you would like to continue forward. But anyways, we're just going to jump right into it. I know we've been a little bit down about Hero Academia lately. Um,
But finally,
it's been a little bit like iffy, and it's been a lot of build up, and it's still kind of build up. But
yeah, this chapter is not.
I want to talk about what I liked, because I actually kind of liked this episode. Um, and I'm gonna jump right into it. I got really, really hyped whenever I saw the panel of Todoroki facing off with Dabi.
That was a good
Mm,
one. I agree.
Yeah, that was
really
really,
good.
really cool. Big fan. Long awaited. That actually might be my most anticipated fight. It probably is my most anticipated fight, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes
It
down.
says something about the main character, doesn't it?
Um, anyways, um, I also like that it wasn't exactly everything didn't just like go according to plan. Like they actually threw a wrench in it.
Thank
So
you,
it
Toga.
wasn't you didn't just see everything that was going to happen and then it happened. Um, Toga managed to snag Deku and yank him through the portal. Um, I like this for a couple of reasons. One, it throws a curveball into the plan into what we expected to happen because I mean we all predicted like Deku's just gonna end up fighting Shigaraki or like One for All right away, or
Mhm.
All for One right away. Um, but now he is thrown into a different situation completely unexpectedly, and the coolest part, in my opinion, is now we get to see how Bakugo and the rest are going to deal with Shigaraki without Midoriya. They don't have Midoriya as a crutch. Um,
I'm sorry.
so Joey, how do you think that fight is going to go without Deku there?
I mean, honestly, this is probably the best thing that he could have done. This is actually looking a lot like old Horikoshi because this not only helps Toga's character arc, which she did want to talk to Deku, Ochiko, and when she met Ochiko in the city, she also said that she wanted to talk to Froppy. So all three characters that are central to her story are there, and that can happen now. Two, we've said for 3 weeks now that Bakugo is a, like, for lack of a better term, a wrench in the machine here because we had no idea what he was going to do. We knew what Ochiko was going to do. We knew what Deku was going to do. We knew what uh, Shoto was going to do, and Bakugo was kind of just there. So this happening gives Bakugo's character time to shine. It shows, like you said, the characters how they're going to deal with All for One and Shigaraki without Deku because the last time, pretty sure that they would have all been killed really quickly. So this
Yes.
gives them a chance to show what they can do.
Yeah. And honestly,
And
that part actually got me really excited. Uh, I read it probably 3 times this chapter, um, and like the second and third time I read it, it got me really excited thinking about it because, um, and Jake, tell me if you felt the same way, but um, knowing that Bakugo is going up against Shigaraki without Deku, it feels like one of those like, holy crap, he is in dire straits. Like, what is he going to do to not just get freaking murdered?
I mean, I absolutely agree, but not just Bakugo, but basically every hero that is now there without Deku is in extreme danger
Yeah.
because Deku, even Deku at his strongest, quite frankly, he's not at the level that Shigaraki is at
Yeah,
now.
he could only hold him off.
He
Right.
is. He would need support to win, and now all of his support that was supposed to be there for him now all have to face Shigaraki, and none of them can even come close at all.
And
I also really like that it's gonna be Dabi versus Todoroki, even though we thought it was gonna be Todoroki and Dever versus Dabi. It's also
Yeah, I think Endeavor's with Bakugo.
no, he's with AFO.
Endeavor's facing off against All for One alongside Kamui Woods, that lion-looking dude. One of the
so the pros are going up against All for One.
I was looking at the panel. They've got Kamui Woods. They've got Endeavor. They've got the lion-looking guy. I can't rember his name for the life of me.
Genus
And
is there.
No, Genus is with
no,
Bakugo.
Genus is with Bakugo.
Okay.
And one of the Pussycat girls. One of the 3 Pussycat girls
was
is
Hawks there as well?
Yes, Hawks is also with them.
yeah.
He's the one. He took a shot at All for One's neck immediately, which was really cool to see. Even though he wasn't able to do anything, it was cool to see that killer instinct from him.
Yeah.
Oh, we
he
know
just
he has
instantly
it.
goes for it. Yeah.
We
It's
know
just
Hawk has
in
the
a
killer
show
instinct.
in a show about heroes that are obsessed with saving people. You know, it is refreshing, even if it's just this little thing, to see Hawks just like he's instantly just like, boom, I'm going at his freaking head with my, with my feather sword.
Yes.
Yeah, Hawks has definitely become a really nice anti-hero. I love the Hawk stuff. I love
he's really cool.
The Nagant stuff, as short as it was. I think that's underrated, especially because it was 10 times better than Stars and Stripes.
Nagant was really cool.
But I'm really looking forward to these fights because they are switched up from what we expected.
Yeah.
If it was what we were expecting, it was just going to be cookie cutter fights, and
yeah,
right.
It is what it is.
He could always still screw it up. He could very, very easily screw this up still.
And the Toga fight actually won't be a slouch either, because I mean, A, we've talked about how broken her power is now, but B, they also show her with a few of what we should assume are high level Nomu, and even for Deku, those are definitely no slouches. Like,
well, yeah, I mean, if they gave Endeavor a problem, then
right, that's going to be pretty tough. Every battle, I mean, we kind of talked about this, but I think it got harder for the heroes than we were expecting, because we already thought every battle that they were in was going to be uphill. I think the closest, most evenly matched one is Dabi and Todoroki. That's probably part of the reason why I'm so especially excited for it. But there's also like the emotional weight and the story behind it.
I think that this chapter is, even though it is another build-up chapter,
it's the best one we've had in a while.
It's the best one we've had in a while, and hopefully it's also the last build-up chapter.
It would appear that way.
Please,
God. Please, just start the fight.
Entire next chapter is just Toga explaining why she took Deku over there.
You know what? I would be okay with that. I would be okay with that because he shafted Toga's story during this entire build-up. And so finally we're going to get to see what she's wanted to do. And also, one thing to point out here, we've never actually seen Toga go all in a fight.
That is a fact. She's always been toying with them. Every time we've seen her, she's been like toying with Deku, like when she was using the body of Cammy. Or toying with Ochako in the woods.
And even when she met Ochako back in the crumbling city, she still wasn't being serious and still caught Ochako off guard several times, and then easily managed to get away.
Yeah.
So
it'll be cool to see what she's really made of.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that fight. And honestly, I need to say that things could still go wrong, but this is a really good opening indicator. And I want to point out that it's fitting that Dabi and Shoto are fighting by the All Might statue.
Yes. Yeah, that part was really cool. Like I was saying, how I really liked that panel of the shot from the ground, seeing Todoroki and Dabi facing off with the backdrop, of course, of All Might's statue with his fist in the air, and it says "No more heroes" or something like that.
Yeah.
That it's
It's got
been
the sign on it
vandalized.
again.
Yeah, it's been vandalized.
Yeah.
Really like hitting home. Uh, just in that one shot, it's hitting home like that. This is a battle for the soul of their society.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, really
You
great
guys,
visuals there.
I'll just wrap it up with this then. Do you guys think that we're close to the end? Like, you guys think this will be the last?
Define close.
Well, we
yeah,
know
but
he's finishing the series this week for this year. So
he said
yes,
he
we're
wants
close.
to finish this year.
And it's
but like
obviously, if this isn't the final battle setup,
like one.
then he's milking the series.
Yeah.
The problem is,
Yeah, definitely.
and I'm
But
not
I
saying this
don't-
is impossible, but the problem is if they built it up to here and we got this far, if this wasn't the final battle, in the future, no matter what they do in the future, they would never be able to build up a final battle in a way that feels genuine because
Yeah,
you know
they'd have to basically redo.
well,
the
because
entire
this
series.
wasn't the final battle
Yeah.
where it clearly should be.
Yeah.
So that would be the problem with if it didn't end here.
Yeah. The one thing I don't want Horikoshi to do is strong arm loose plot points into this battle. Let this battle play out. Let it happen. Don't ham fist Stain into it. Don't ham fist other loose plot points in the air. Just focus on you have enough. Lord knows you had enough build up. Just
well, we know there's going to be a sort of verbal battle, so to speak, between Toga and Deku and Ochiko. And I think you could see it a couple ways. You could see the conversation between Deku and Ochiko as potential foreshadowing for them trying to save Toga. But what I would like to believe and what I think will happen is that's just kind of meant to make you think one way, whereas based on Toga's character, I feel like we're only going to see her double down, especially after that little chapter that she had going back to her original home. So I think she's going to double down, and I
hope.
I would be willing to bet she dies in this battle.
Oh wow. Wow, all right, that's a hot take from my hero.
I'm putting it down. I think Toga is going to die for her beliefs.
What, you think Ochiko or Deku are gonna kill her?
Not intentionally.
I'll tell you what, I would give Horikoshi
I think they're gonna be
mad
forced.
props. I would give him mad props if he forced Ochiko or Deku to kill her. I do not in a million years think that's gonna happen, but I am ready to be surprised. Horikoshi, you go right ahead and surprise me.
I think that would be top tier.
Oh yeah, it absolutely would. I don't think he's gonna do it. Not ever.
I know it's a hot take, but I'm throwing down the gauntlet.
I think the only villain that
I'd be more concerned about Dabi.
I don't know about Dabi. I've considered thinking that they might kill off Dabi, but that's not the closure. He might kill himself. That's not the closure that story needs, honestly.
I think he might kill himself,
AFO
honestly.
is the most likely villain to bite the dust in these battles.
He's obviously the one that has to die.
Deku is not probably the highest probability of any heroes dying, because heroes are gonna have to die in this.
Oh, you say that.
If basically Bakugo's team doesn't basically get wiped, then it's ham-fisted writing.
They can get wiped, but I mean, the only hero
He
to die that
literally
we know
kills
of
people
is
by
Midnight.
touching them.
So really quick, we'll just make a
Yeah,
quick
and
prediction.
Gigantomachia is a fucking skyscraper, and he only took out Midnight. And
So
some
really quick,
no-name heroes.
we'll make a quick prediction. Who do you think out of the heroes is going to die? Jake, go.
I don't know, but I am hoping that Deku does die. It would make a very strong ending to the series, and he would be propped up as the greatest hero of all time because he sacrificed himself for the entire world to enjoy peace again. Endeavor, maybe Endeavor.
I was gonna say I feel like Endeavor's the most obvious one. But I think Hawks.
not in it, so
I think Hawks is going to die. I think Endeavor is going to die. I think there's a good chance that we lose
Best
either
Jeanist.
Bakugo.
Best Jeanist.
Right. I think there's a very good chance that we lose either Bakugo or Deku. Or potentially both.
Yeah. Oh my god, the memes if Bakugo actually dies this time. Holy crap.
But it is
well,
possible.
I think potentially both.
No.
I think potentially both, because if the route is, oh, the greatest sacrifice, like this is why Deku's the greatest hero of all time. Well, actually, we did have that scene with All Might talking about, or was it All Might? I forget. Talking about how they're both set up to be like the greatest heroes for their society, like both Deku and Bakugo.
Yeah, kind of try to.
You might be right.
The All Might Endeavor problem.
I'm guessing it'll take Bakugo will die, pushing Deku forward to really fight Shigaraki head on.
My only issue.
Deku will sacrifice himself for the end.
My only issue with the way that all that plays out is that, assuming Best Jeanist dies to spur Bakugo on, okay? And then Bakugo dies to spur Deku on. And then Endeavor dies to spur Shoto on. And it's like...
Well, here's my problem.
Like 4 things happening.
Well, nobody really said anything about all of those characters dying specifically to amp up another character.
Yeah, I mean, think...
it would.
But how would they know?
De facto.
Bakugo's already fired up.
If Endeavor died in the next chapter to All for One, how the hell would Todoroki know?
Yeah,
they're all in radio contact.
Yeah, but they're all fighting.
Yeah, but they've talked to each other through radio during fights literally the entire series. So I don't see that as a real issue.
I suppose.
My issue is that the plot thread for All Might dying, the Vision, is still up in the air, and he's not participating in the fight. So that's another loose plot point that is just out there. Aizawa should have died in the Invasion War. Any other person could have come up with this plan. It didn't have to be his plan, but he's gonna skate off into the sunset. And again, I just don't think Horikoshi has the balls to kill anyone.
He's already killed characters.
I will say, I do think that there's maybe like a 40 or 50% chance that the show is fairy tale and nobody dies. But I don't know. We'll see.
I'm not counting Midnight as a significant death. I don't care.
How dare you?
No.
Midnight doesn't deserve that.
No. Fan service, like seductress hero dying off screen. Off screen? No. Moving on.
I didn't really care. I'll be honest.
I care. Jake cares. Jake remembers you, Midnight. Remember that.
Jake, you got Mount Lady. You're fine.
It's true.
Anyways.
Horikoshi, if you kill Mountain Lady, I swear to God.
I
mean, I think that just about does it for Hero Academia.
Yeah, we will.
Very exciting. We'll have to see where it goes from here.
Hopefully be done with build up.
Please be good.
Please. Please.
So Jujutsu Kaisen, we got another mostly combat chapter, and it was another cool one. we got a bit of a glimpse into the kind of person that Okotsu is in this chapter, actually. You know, he's fighting hold on, what's her face? Takako? He's fighting
Yeah,
this chick
assassin.
Takako. Um and he almost immediately starts trying to appeal to her. Oh, why are you doing this? Like, you know, you've been possibly dead for thousands of years. Like, why are you taking people's lives? Um I it is minor, but I mean, you know, it is kind of nice to get a little bit more of a look into the kind of person that he is. Clearly he gives a crap about people, and you know,
Mhm.
he's not just like a I fight because I like to fight kind of character.
Oh yeah,
Um
he's purposely handicapping himself in this fight still.
right. Um and we were totally right on Takako's power for the most part.
Yeah.
I
To an
mean,
extent. To
I
an
mean,
extent. It
we were
seems like
talking about her
Her
distorting the
ripping
space,
reality, yeah.
right?
yeah,
And
but
like using it as a physical object.
it's it's really weird. She essentially turns the sky into a blanket.
It's not just the sky. Because you saw in one of the panels,
She's
there's like,
warping space.
yeah, behind her, it's like, basically, like, you can see, like, houses, and she rips the whole thing. So the whole background, including, like, the distortion of the house behind her, and she can just rip that and pull it.
Right.
Yeah, and then
And there's the
it
panel of like sorry, Okotsu and her going to punch each other,
yeah.
and she with her other arm, she's like ripping the sky and pulling it where his arm is coming, and it's like distorting his arm by her so that she can just slug him.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Crazy power.
So,
there's still something weird about it, as Okotsu explains. That's not just the
There
smoke.
is, yes, there is
Yeah,
something we haven't seen yet, for sure.
that's
for
why I
sure.
describe her power as, she says it's sky, but it's really not. I wouldn't say it's a sky-based power. It's a
Well, yeah, because we've seen.
spatial-based distortion power.
Yeah,
It could just be a translation thing too.
It could be.
well, also we've seen in lore previously. Best boy. Oh my god. Oh, I
Fushiguro,
don't. No. Um,
Gojo.
Yuji's best friend. I'm blanking. Toto. Yes,
Oh,
Toto.
There's no
We've
place like
seen
home.
Toto. Yeah, we've seen Toto lie about his ability to Hanami in this fight when he
that's true.
explained it to him. And
That's true.
so sorcerers don't always have to be 100% honest
He
when they
did.
tell each other about their fights. But also, people forget this. Telling in the world of JJK, telling your opponent about your curse technique amplifies the power of it, because it's essentially a curse you're putting on yourself by
Right.
letting people know more about you. You then gain it, but you don't always have to be truthful 100% in it. So
Yeah, I mean, it's likely she only gave him like 60% or whatever.
yeah,
And you know, they did make it a point to show that he was taken aback by the fact, at least in a small way, he was like, "Oh, she's explaining her power, okay." Um,
yeah. Okotu hasn't had actually that many fights.
right,
A lot of people don't really. They're probably waiting to watch the movie. But yeah,
right.
Okotsu's still a very, despite his incredible power, he's still very new to to sorcery.
Yeah. And then we were totally wrong,
Oh, this
but
guy's so awesome.
Ishigori pops into the fight immediately. I didn't expect, I knew that he might, but like I didn't expect him to instantly pop into the fight, and I already really like this guy a lot. A
Pompadour
A
blast
he's
cannon.
got the Kuwabara hair, and it's not just for show because his hair is literally a cannon, and that's insane. And I
That's
like
oh
my jaw dropped when I saw that, and I
yeah.
laughed, and I was
That's
also like, that is so funny, but it's also so cool
oh, it was
in
amazing.
another way. Um, but it in just a few panels of this chapter, I feel like I already know a lot about this guy. A, we know that he really like itching for a fight. Like he likes to find people that he could test his power against. I think that's very clear.
Mhm.
And because of that, we know that he's very experienced. Um, not just because he likes to fight people that will, push him against the wall, but also because he's like immediately like recognizing what Okotsu's doing and like figuring out the next step. Like he's clearly very experienced.
Yeah, he's a combat vet for sure, and I think his attitude just plays into that.
um, and there's the one strange thing that he says, the final thing in the chapter where he says, Okotsu's rushing him, and he's like, Okotsu, will that satisfy your hunger? Or something like that? Is that what it is?
The hunger.
The hunger. Yeah, yeah. Will
Yeah.
that satisfy the hunger? Okotsu.
So
And he's got
I
this menacing
I think that ties
grin.
into his power because after he shoots the Pompadour
Hmm.
for the first time, or it was either after or right before. I think it was after. He says, "I'm really hungry."
Did he?
So, yeah, yeah, he mentions hunger twice
Okay.
in the chapter,
I forgot about
and
that.
so it could be that his power is sort of like the reason he has so much is it could be like sort of a glutton type power,
Fueled by
essentially.
food.
Yeah, but food in this case is not necessarily food because it wouldn't make
Right.
sense for him to have like 6 sandwiches or just walking around with food on him to
Wait, hold
have
on.
him
I
eat
gotta
them.
pause this fight. Let me have my roast beef.
Yeah, right.
Ah,
Yeah.
shit! I
So,
forgot the mayo. It's all
yeah.
dry.
Oh, that's
Dry
that's
roast
on
beef
you.
sandwich. Ugh.
Yeah, dude. Worst case scenario.
Eesh. So it could be that another reason that he always seeks out people to fight is because his hunger is fighting, and he gets stronger while he fights. It's just a prediction there,
Yeah.
but I think the hunger is definitely related in some way to his power,
Hmm.
and I think that's why he chose to come in now, uh, in a potential three-way fight because it benefits him more than the other two. If it's two opponents.
Hmm. Yeah, possibly.
Do you guys think that Okotsu is going to be forced to use Rika in this fight? If it ends up a three-way battle? Or do you think that he's going to pull some crazy stuff and take him
Um,
out?
maybe.
Too soon to
I
say.
I'm having a hard time because if you remember a couple weeks ago, I made another hot take, bold prediction that I think he
Oh,
has a domain and I think he's gonna be forced to use it sometime soon. So
that's possible.
that would bring me to question what would he rather use between his domain? What would he rather reveal between his domain or Rika? So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it's also possible that Rika has a domain.
True,
So,
true.
I mean, if he ends.
Out of
Oh,
those two
crap. I
scenarios,
just
by the way,
realized.
I would predict the domain first because I take it he's the kind of guy that would shoulder it himself rather than asking for help.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%. I just realized Okotsu is potentially one of the only sorcerers in stories so far that could have two domains, his own and Rika's.
True. He would be potentially exceptionally overpowered, but
That
that's
would
true.
be
It is possible.
wow. That'd be crazy.
Jake, what do you think about this three-way battle?
It's it's
Is it
certainly it's going to be interesting. I'm a little disappointed because I wanted to see the 1v1 first. I really wasn't looking for this 1v1v1 scenario.
Mm.
Uh Cuz I wanted to learn more about her powers. We've only kind of scratched the surface of her powers, and we're already introducing our next combatant, who obviously is extremely strong.
We're only
So,
scratching the surface on all of their powers, to be fair. And I
True.
think
I mean,
there's an opportunity here for them to really like push all three of them up because there's so much uncertainty in a three-way battle. To where it could force their hand more than it would potentially in a 1v1.
true.
Yeah. And this is also
like
really the
even just thinking about Ishigori's friggin' hair cannon, like what's to say that she might just like redirect with her space distortion.
was
She might just
actually thinking
redirect a beam straight at Okotsu,
letting
like
the beam hit it, bounce in, and then bounce back out.
Yeah.
right. Just thinking about stuff like that, like going along with what I was saying about the uncertainty of having like a battle between three people, and none of them are particularly on any side.
And Okotsu could absolutely die here. That is,
Yeah.
this is not my hero.
I would
at
I
all.
would be surprised by no outcome of like both of the other sorcerers die, only Okotsu dies, one of them die, like
all three of them die. And
yeah, all three of them die. Like I feel like I wouldn't be surprised by any of those outcomes. It just depends on how it happens.
Yeah. I also think this is a really good opportunity to push Okotsu, because this is really the first time outside of the movie and the chapter 0 that Okotsu has an opportunity to really flex and fight. And people could bring up the Yuji fight, but really not to crap on Yuji or anything, but he was never going to beat Okotsu, not ever.
No, Yuji's totally outclassed by Okotsu at the moment.
Yeah, so I mean that wasn't a real fight for him, and so I think this is the first time we actually get to see him, now that he is a fully fledged sorcerer, and he's had the time outside of his initial intro in Chapter 0 to actually really fight. And so, like Ryan said, I think this is just a great opportunity to push all three characters.
Yeah, I really like Okotsu personally. I'm very much hoping that he doesn't die, at least not yet.
Yeah, me too.
But we'll see.
Don't want him to die.
I'm still butthurt over Nobara, although we'll see. Maybe there's hope that she's not actually dead.
She's not dead.
And they're just protecting her.
Even if she is, she's not. No, she's not dead.
She ain't gone.
No.
Kugisaki, no.
No, that hurt. That hurt a lot.
Big sad.
Oh, yeah, you can get hurt about this, but not midnight.
Yeah, Oh.
But Ishigori has a freaking hair cannon.
How dare you?
He has a hair cannon.
How dare you compare Kugisaki to... No, there's not enough time. There's not enough time.
That's why I'm trying to derail it. Hair cannon. Dude.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen such a thing?
I think...
I've seen a special beam cannon once.
Same thing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Both of you have seen a Kamega kill, right?
Yeah.
What's a Kamega kill?
I read the manga. I know everything that happens.
Yeah. The guy that the main character inherits his power from also had a pompadour.
Yes.
Did he at one point
No.
shoot? No? Okay.
No.
Nope, he didn't. All of his power was based around his armor.
Yeah, okay. That's what
so
I
he
thought,
didn't.
but I didn't.
Yeah, he didn't.
Just had the cool hairstyle.
Yeah, man.
Right.
God bless Kuwabara and the pompadours that have come. And the pompadours that have come since.
He is a worthy addition to the line for sure. I guess I'll wrap it up with this then. I did like Ryan, you mentioned it at the start, and I wanted to dive a bit deeper into it. Not from Okotsu's perspective, well, also his perspective, but also hers, because we learned that she's an ancient person, and that Kenjaku gave them the opportunity to come back to life here. So we learn more about Kenjaku's
Yes.
plan
Yes.
entirely, that it's not necessarily they get to stay alive.
Hmm. They have to earn
Um,
it.
yeah, they have
Yeah,
to earn it.
that is big. We shouldn't have glazed over that, but yeah, that's really big because modern day sorcerers um, were quite literally forced into this.
Yeah,
But as it turns out, all of these ones from potentially hundreds or thousands of years ago, they were somehow extended an olive branch. Hey, you might be able to come back, baby.
yeah. If you do, you know, yet undisclosed, because we still know very little about Kenjaku. Why he's over in China right now? What? Oh God, I don't
Not
know.
that I expect something simple out of JJK because it's never simple, but it could be something as simple as you win this battle royale and you come back to life for real.
Yeah, I mean, it could just be a motivation to get them to actually participate and be a struggle against the real sorcerers. It doesn't
Right.
have to be like huge, but I see it tying into it for sure. Especially with her being like, well, you never know what can happen, and in here you really don't. Curse techniques are so malleable; it's crazy
Yeah.
what you can do with them, and so I think she's taking the right perspective and being like, look, I mean, she's an assassin anyway, so I didn't expect her to really care about human life to begin with, but I like that we actually have a reason that makes sense for why she's doing this instead of, oh, well, she's an evil sorcerer, assassin, and she's evil for evil's sake. So I
Well, she clearly
appreciate,
has some sort of grudge as
yes.
well that they
Yeah,
hinted at.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Hmm. Yeah,
So,
they're giving us bits for these characters. They're not just gonna be like these strong fighters that show up and to test our hero. Um, they're gonna be real characters that we're gonna in some way give a crap about by the time
yeah.
they die or potentially win the fight, I suppose.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. I also liked that Okotsu came back and said that, you know, even though I think it's plausible that he could say, "Well, you're fighting for your life," literally. I think a lot of people would potentially sympathize with her. He just comes straight out and is like, "Look, I understand what you're doing, but I still don't get it. Like, I don't know how you can hold your life in such higher regard to others. Like, you're all the same. They also want to do what you're doing." And he's like, "Your logic doesn't make sense." And
Well,
then
that's
immediately
obvious.
pisses us. Yeah, he immediately pisses her off, and that plays into hopefully more of
Mm.
their story. But it's
The
just
next chapter is
really
gonna be a
intriguing so
banger.
far. Yeah, I think
All
that does
right,
it for
so
JJK.
so I've continued Realist Hero, boys. Um, Now where we left off, he was gathering like the people with the very special skills.
Mm.
Right, right.
Like the best in their craft. So they left off with the wolf girl Tomoe. She tells our hero Soma that she can converse with demons. Um, from what I've watched, nothing has come of it yet. But they did make it a point to express that this would be an important plot line at some point. Um, so, you know, we'll see how that goes. But
Right, the demons are going to
for,
tie back in.
of course,
Yeah.
but for the next episode and a half, and it's funny because the main character is named Soma. The show literally becomes Food Wars. Um, they have the guy that's the glutton, and
That's hilarious.
they put on a show. They have like that the kingdom has a certain magic where they can like broadcast to every person in their society. Well, they're trying to solve this food problem, right? So they have the glutton gather a bunch of ingredients that are like easy for people to get from all over the place
Mhm.
around like their like country.
Mm.
And they teach people how to make a bunch of food out of it, which was
Oh, sweet.
kind of weird because naturally, you would think these people would have figured out how to use this stuff, like fishermen using squid for food, or octopus. You would think they would already know, but I guess they don't.
But
How
did the
similar
food,
to Food
yeah,
Wars are? Yeah, I
did the
think.
food
Yep.
cause
Yep.
food gasms?
No, it
I was
didn't.
gonna say,
I'm just
how
talking about it
similar
being
to
a
Food
foodie.
Wars are we going here?
Yeah, I'm only talking about it being a foodie episode. It's not. It wasn't Food Wars, but I'm just drawing the comparison because the main
Okay.
character's name is Soma, and the episode and like the next half of the next episode, all food. Just
Yeah,
all of
it
this food,
wasn't.
and they're like
It
trying it, and
wasn't a
they're like, "Oh my
direct
gosh, it's
one-to-one.
so good because of this reason," even though they don't want to try it because it looks gross. Um, there was a nice tender moment where the guy has made crickets um, into like a bite-sized snack. Um, and Soma tries one, and they like explain it in a certain way using like certain ingredients, but Soma recognized it for being like miso flavored, like miso and soy sauce, and he
Mhm.
starts crying because it reminds of his
Oh,
homeland. And I was like, that was good. Yeah, I can totally sympathize with that. That was, you know, surprisingly good for a shitty isekai. Um, but anyways, I mean, they go through all that food. You know, it happens. It's sort of Food Wars. Um, next, Soma goes on a date with the princess, and this is where they really kick off the typical harem trope for the isekai, because he goes on a
oh
date with the
my.
princess Alicia, and they bring
Oh,
Aisha,
nice
who
name.
is the dark
Nice
elf.
name.
They bring her as a guard, um, but they need to disguise, so they all go into school uniforms, of course. Um, so it's a
Japan.
it's a bunch of school kids, on a little stroll around town. Two of them having a date, um, and they end up at the restaurant that the singing girl works at, Juna. And this is where they really kick off the harm, because somehow they get talking about how polygamy is uh like recognized in their country, and how
Holy shit.
it's normal for a man to have multiple wives, and like even the princess like kind of concedes like, oh, she would kind of be okay with it. And I'm like, they, that's like the way that you tell your audience like, hey, by the way, if you didn't already consider it a harem, it's a harem.
I mean, it's an
Just so you know.
isekai,
Yeah.
Keeping
so it was gonna have
keeping
a
Just
harem.
so
amounts of
you know, viewers, it's a harem.
keeping amounts of bullshit ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, hey, polygamy. Oh, yeah, that's going to be
So
great. Here,
where does the
Selma, you
singing?
could totally take You could totally take all these girls as your wives. They've offered.
Yeah. Where does the singing girl come into this? I'm assuming she's the third.
Yeah, I mean, she's definitely part of it. She hasn't been like, oh my god, take me. Only the dark elf girl has been like, oh my god, take me. But like, you could tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, it's there. Anyways, they overhear a couple soldiers arguing about. They set up like this little plot line where some of the nobles are not okay with the new king,
Of
um,
course.
which makes a lot of sense. Um, he's just suddenly made king, where he really doesn't have any right to it, um, in any like traditional sense. He has no right
Nobles
to
are
the throne,
always assholes, though.
and the nobles are like, "No, this is screwed up. He's changing things. We're not going to listen to him." Well, one of the soldiers, there are these two childhood friends, is talking about joining up with this other noble, and his friend Kaide is trying to talk him out of it. Well, they overhear their conversation, and of course, Selma walks up and is just like, "Yo," and she immediately recognizes him as the king, some disguise. Hey, is that the king? No, he's in school clothes. It couldn't be.
I believe my school uniform didn't work.
It's almost as good of a costume as Clark Kent's glasses.
Oh my.
Am I Superman? No. Superman
The
doesn't wear
cope.
glasses.
The cope around.
Um, so he overhears this guy literally talking about treason and just decides to forgive him. So, typical.
Fair enough.
Yeah. He forgives him, talks him out of it, talks to him about, staying with his friend so that they don't have to fight against each other. I mean, the guy's dad beats the ever living crap out of him.
Hell yeah.
They show up in the throne room and he's just beaten and bruised, and he's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. Oh. But Soma's like, nah, it's cool, dog. Hey, I'm gonna promote you, and you're going to work right alongside Kaide. So
You
yeah,
see
cool.
that? You see that, kids? Getting a beating every now and then will lead to better life.
No.
It leads to a promotion.
Let your father beat the ever living shit out of you.
No.
Yeah.
Good parenting
So
here in Realist Hero.
the last few episodes haven't really had the same things that I initially liked about the show. So, if it continues like this, I think I'm gonna end up really not liking it. But hopefully they'll bring it back to like the sort of like economic and sort of um like him dealing with all like the foundation and like building up the back end of the kingdom that really makes it run.
Oh, you mean like
Um,
some sort of real life scenario?
Yes, something that is
Real.
relatable.
Real.
Yeah, something
hero.
that is relatable.
Oh,
The Realist Hero.
yeah.
Maybe.
Wow.
Ryan, oh my god.
I'm gonna give it the fattest okay in the world right now. And
Ryan-
we'll see where it goes.
Realist Hero is
Ryan-
mid. You heard it here first.
It's
Ryan
not 5.1,
watches-
it's not 4.9. It is exactly 5.0.
Yep. Ryan watches shitty isekai. Turns out to be shitty isekai. Ryan, surprise Pikachu face.
Oh boy.
But yeah, that's the show.
That's the show.
Jake finished season 1 of Dr. Stone. Jake,
Yes, I
come
did.
on, dog. Let's talk about something great.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
it was good.
Chef's kiss.
It was good. You guys led me on to a good show. I'm really happy about it. There's only going to be about 2 more weeks because next season isn't 24 episodes. It's only 12.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll only have 2 more weeks to enjoy this show. But let me just say, been a fantastic ride.
Mm-hmm.
This show, I'm gonna kind of gloss over things. So in episode 19, we see Homura, who is Hyoga's right-hand woman, and she's burning down the entire village. So
Right.
they basically lose their village in episode 9. And while they're out in the open, we got Watermelon Girl, because I'm never gonna remember her name. Is it
She
Suika?
just got
Suika.
Homura's name right.
Huh?
Started so strong, Jake.
You did. You started off good, and then you took a dip
God.
immediately.
I'm never gonna remember some of these characters' names, and you're just gonna have to deal with it. How am I supposed? I don't know. My brain is not stimulated with names. But anyways.
Speaking of stimulation.
Yeah.
But anyways, Suika leads all of Hyoga's gang after her.
Trapeze artists.
What was that?
Trapeze artists. It's where it's at, man.
I don't know if she was a trapeze artist. I think they mentioned something about being a gymnast. But I don't know about trapeze. Homura.
Oh, well. It's all the same thing. Shut up.
No, it's
Go
not. Anyways, she leads them up to the mountain that has the poison gas. Then, obviously, Senku goes up with his right-hand lady. and they go through with gas masks because gas masks OP, so they don't die walking through it, and Hyuga and all of his men are trapped in one tree. And then Hyuga, despite seeming very intelligent, does one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. And he's like, well, time to test if all the gas is gone. And instead of knocking one man down at a time, he knocks all of his men down at the same time. And he's like, time to see, bonk, bonk, bonk. And they all go down and they die. Do it one at a time.
How dare you expect logic from a villain?
I'm expecting logic from a show that deals in a lot of science and logic.
Yeah, but
He's a villain.
he's a pretty you'll see, but he's irrational. And he doesn't give a crap about other people.
I'm presuming that's going to happen in season 2, because from what I remember, this is basically, besides maybe a minute, the only time you see Hyuga for the rest of the season.
You do not see him a lot in season
I won't say much, but he's exceptionally arrogant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Although he from the experience we have seen, he was able to figure out and piece everything together that happened to him. Why his thing split apart. He figured out the Gen had betrayed him. Didn't trust him from the get-go, really.
I mean, he is intelligent. He's just counteracted by
I think he just finds
not caring about human life.
I think he also just thinks that they're useless.
Oh, he brought that up multiple times that they were useless.
Right. So he doesn't really,
He said
it's not a loss to him.
The one good thing they could do for him was check if the gas was gone or not. So he killed them to check.
They already failed him.
It actually, you know what? It makes sense for him to kill them all because, then the rest of if he just killed one of them with the gas, then the rest of them are going to go back and talk about it, and nobody's going to go out with him on missions again.
Oh, I don't doubt that, but he could have. What I'm saying is he could have used them one at a time, and then eventually when it was cleared, just kill all the men yourself.
Well, in his mind,
he has the skill to do it.
Fair.
In his mind, they already failed him because they ended up in this situation to begin with, and so obviously he doesn't see this as a fault on his part. He immediately blames his men, and then they're like, "All right, well, at least you can do this right," and just.
Yeah, I can understand. I can understand why he would do it all at the same time. It's just from the intelligence level that I've seen him show, it seems illogical that he kills them all at the same time.
Yeah.
But anyways, then we're gonna go ahead. We'll move on to episode 20. Because I will go over the fact that Senku brings up how they're gonna beat Tsukasa. Cell phones, or more in particular, he says smartphones, but then he's like, but really, they're just gonna be cell phones because we're not gonna use the smart part of phones.
It's just communication. Communication warfare is.
That is how people win wars. Yes.
Yeah. Factually.
But anyways, so we move on to episode 20, and instead of immediately diving in to making cell phones, we dive into making a cotton candy machine. Because reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
There are reasons behind it, but it's still a little silly to me that we move immediately into the cotton candy. But we are
ramen now.
But we are shown everybody loves this. They've never had something sugary and sweet, really. This is like a first for them besides naturally occurring sugars in like fruits and stuff. So this is a huge thing for the entire village. And then Senku decides, you know what? I'm going to put out a little bit for Homura. And she is very apprehensive about taking it at first. But eventually she does eat it, and she shows how much it shows, but she does enjoy it. You can clearly see in the little panel they did, because it's a very nice little animated panel of her against, like, the star and eating the cotton candy. But, anyways...
I disagree, Jake. I saw a screenshot, and it didn't look good.
Well, Joe, your opinion means very little to me. You like Ranking of Kings.
Roasted.
You're the only person who doesn't like that show.
All right, we're moving forward with my show right now. You can talk about that all you want later. But we're get introduced to a lot of new things in science. We're introduced to the gear in this episode, where they take, they use Kohaku's old shield, and they mess it up to make a gear. And the dad's like, I was really happy when I gave it to her. She surely doesn't want to use it for this. And she's like, nah, it's okay. Just go ahead, use it. It's no emotional attachment. And the dad's just like, so tsundere about it. He's very upset that it gets used for that. But it was a funny episode, a very comical episode. Then we're gonna move into episode 21. In this one, what do they do? Oh, no, I forgot. In episode 20, they came out with the hydroelectric power plant, which was really, really cool. Because it was something that Chrome and I don't know why I don't remember his name, because I love his character so much, but the old man,
Genki? Jin? I don't know. I don't remember his name either.
I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's a good character.
Kaseki.
Is it Kaseki?
Mm-hmm.
But they come up with the water wheel, which it's super cool because Senku has not taught them about this, but just using other science they've seen made, they come up with this idea. And it shows the ingenuity that humans are capable of. Because when we're shown new things, even if it's an older... Like, Senku obviously knows this is an older idea. It's been done before. But people will always come up with new and innovative things. It shows that humans really have the capacity... If we were to be reset back a certain ways, we have the capacity to come back even without the knowledge of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Our ingenuity is powerful enough that we can come back with that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways...
I don't know if we'd make it this far this quickly, but...
Wait, in episode 20, was that the episode that they went out with... No. That's in a future episode. That is. I'm getting confused with episodes, honestly. But now that they've got the hydroelectric plant running, for Christmas, Senku sets up a Christmas tree. This is another really cool scene. It's all of it combined it's a really nice little show.
Oh, right,
but
right.
then they're trying different things to make the cell phone work, and they find out that the bamboo that they're using in their era, that is the best thing that they have, and it's not capable to run the cell phone. So Senku believes that the communication war isn't possible now. But we eventually come back. Crumb has gathered some rocks, and he brings them all back, and Suika, wanting to be useful because she always wants to be, I guess that's her character, her entire character is just wanting to be helpful.
Can I help?
Yeah,
It's just like a little kid.
Yeah, she is a little kid.
I mean, she is.
Yep.
She's
but
literally
Like a normal little kid.
And I understand it, but I'd like a little more development to her. I just haven't seen a whole lot. She's been the same character that she's been the entire show. But basically, she finds a rock, they bring it up, because they all go out to celebrate New Year's in the morning, and because of just the right time that the light comes up, it shows off the stone that Suika has chosen glows bright blue. And Senku immediately knows this is tungsten. And this is exactly what we needed. So they plan a mission to go and get this material. And of course, it is Senku, Crom, and Senku chooses Magma to go with them. And then we get the next episode, episode 22, which is... It has some cool and fun science moments, but I don't care for Magma. This one episode didn't get me to care for Magma. It was kind of, out of the last 6 episodes, I can say that just because the majority was spent on Magma, who's a character that I know you're not supposed to like him, but I haven't enjoyed him. I'm not enjoying him trying to get some character development. So it was a little boring to me. It went a little slow
Just
because I had to
abandon the character, Jake.
What?
Just abandon the character.
Kill him.
Yeah.
I
Kill
mean,
all of Class 1A.
I stand by that.
But anyways, we get past that. They find the rocks they need in this cave expedition. After, of course, Magma and Senku get trapped in a hole, and they use water to get them out. A little pump based on the gas mask that they made, which is another really cool usage. I really enjoyed that too. But we get to the end, which is the entire... At first, you're led to believe that Gen is planning something really evil when he sends Magma out. But what Gen has told Magma is to bring them back at a certain time, which he does. Because Senku believes, he gets all tied up and blindfolded, and he believes, oh, this is the part where they all just trade me in to Tsukasa to get immunity. It's over. They've realized this is how they can win without any bloodshed. And they're like, no, that's not what we're doing. Here. And they take off his blindfold, and it's a telescope.
We're gonna kill you ourselves.
It's a telescope.
Oh.
And his whole thing at the beginning was, I want to go to space.
Mm-hmm.
He is fascinated with space, and it's just a really nice, warm moment that the show doesn't have. The show has little bits and spurts of, but it's really nice when it does give you those bits and spurts. Especially with Senku, who is just, overall, we know to be a very logical human being, mostly runs on logic, but it's nice to see him get emotional as well.
Yes. Every time they like put him in a position where he expresses emotion, it feels really good.
Yeah, it does. And I really like that.
It's good that they do it sparingly.
It wouldn't make sense for his character if they didn't do emotional moments sparingly. Yep. Then we basically go through episode 23. Not a whole lot besides just... Excuse me. Not a whole lot goes on, really, except for... basically, we just see a lot of creation of the cell phone, and finally, the end of it we see in episode 23. I'm not going to go over a whole lot, because not a whole lot really happens in that episode, so we'll just go on to the final episode, which is fantastic. And then Senku reveals, after they're done making the first cell phone, everybody's super happy. He's like, okay, but really we need 2 of these. So everybody's kind of like all upset. Oh no, we gotta do something else. So they set up, but he sets up the telephone to be just from point A to point B instead of them being cell phones for now. So we get Crom talking to Ruri over there, and they're like, oh yeah, you should tell her how you feel over this. And he's like, phones are awesome! Or what? I don't remember if that's exactly what he says. If he says science is awesome,
it's something about like science of the phone or whatever.
Yeah.
He's just geeking out, like he's
totally geeking out, which I love because everyone's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "What? Isn't this what you guys asked me to do?"
Yeah. Incredibly dense.
super dense, but it's another wholesome moment. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But in that interaction, Ruri shows that she knows what speakers are. And Senku's like, how do you know what speakers are? I haven't explained speakers. And then she's like, oh, it's a bee into a rock. And so what he realizes is that there is something hidden inside of his father's gravestone. So they go up, they break the gravestone, and he finds a glass with a lot of grooves in it, which I knew immediately that they were going with a record. He had made a record for him, which I thought, again, another wholesome good moment is coming up. I'm super excited. And it was super wholesome because we get a little bit, it's played on the record player that Senku quickly makes. They play out the sound, and so Byakuya gives a little bit of a message to Senku first. Although it's another very kind of, he starts to be a little mushy, and then's like, nah, Senku, you don't want mushy. And Senku's like, you're darn right, I don't want mushy. Just give me the info you need. Even though I think we can all tell that Senku really does appreciate being able to hear him again.
Mm-hmm.
Even if just through this record. So there's still, despite wanting the logical, that Senku does want the logical stuff, the information he can be passed down, he still does get that emotional attachment to it.
He's
But
alive.
Then we get Lillian's song, and all of these people who have never even heard music before, they all just start breaking down. It's a really sweet, tender moment, because music has always been something that is passed down throughout the generations, and
Mm-hmm.
I love the song. It's very good. It was made well. I don't know if it's a song. It sounds like it had to have been specifically made for the show, but it could have not been. I don't know, but it's very, very good. And just, it wraps up with us seeing Taiju and Yuzuriya, and they're getting...
He got it. Shut up.
And it wraps it perfectly. It is a perfect wrap up to get us started into season 2, which will be the war, and I cannot wait to watch the next 6 episodes.
Season 1 banger.
Season 1 was so good. It ended so well. I'm really happy about this show. There are some moments that can kind of grind on my gears about how good the science and logic of the show is, and then there's just a moment where it's like, this is completely illogical. Nothing will make sense here about why this character is doing this. But other than that, I've enjoyed the show. It's got great science. It's got great emotional moments. It's got, for a lot of the characters, they're getting good character development. I'm really enjoying it.
Well, I think it's because the show is so great that those moments stick out like a sore thumb.
I would agree. That there's a reason why Ryan gave his a 5. I'd give Dr. Stone, for myself, it'd get probably somewhere between a solid 8.5 to 9. Somewhere around there is where I would put Dr. Stone. It is very good. It has some moments that are jarring and don't make sense, but those can be forgiven when the rest of it is just so dang good.
Especially because those moments aren't huge moments either. Not like...
I disagree. There's, in particular, I brought it up a long time ago in the podcast, but the Tsukasa knowing that they're making gunpowder, it just, that part doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think in the grand scheme of things that's a huge thing.
It's huge because it leads to the fact that Taiju and Yuzuriya can't be with Senku anymore. It drives a lot of the plot points of the future.
Oh, okay. All right.
So I would disagree on that. But that's probably the biggest flaw that I've had with it. was that moment, and it happened early on, and the rest of it has been fairly smooth sailing. So,
Yeah, that's fair. I do remember watching it for the first time and being like, that was really a stretch for him to like
piece it all
just
together.
mental gymnastics, all of that into one thing. Like, wow, okay. Didn't know he had a 160 IQ as well.
Yeah, I didn't realize that his IQ was near levels of Senku's, but that's alright.
Didn't really bother
Yeah.
me that much.
They do
It's
continue
fair.
to show him. They're at least consistent because they will continue to show him being very intelligent. It's just, it's a little bit jarring for his character and his archetype to be that intelligent.
That's
But
kind of where my thought process is. If he's this intelligent and knows like all the benefits to this,
Well, they never showed him as an idiot to begin with. I mean, they just said that he was really strong. They
we're not
never
saying
really
he's
made
supposed to be
the
an idiot.
yeah,
character-
you're
just-
not necessarily an idiot.
And I always also thought that the scene specifically with him and Senku always thought of him as a threat, not just physically, but also mentally. Senku several times avoids talking about subjects because he knows that Tsukasa can piece these things together.
He could if he was given the
So-
information, but that's why he doesn't bring them up.
but
Which is why I have a hard time
'cause he knows he doesn't
believing
need him.
if he didn't need them in the first place, there was no point to hide them, is kind of my point.
Well, I guess. I mean,
That's,
Senku was worried about him being like a thorn in his side. So, I mean, revealing that information wouldn't.
but it didn't change anything because Tsukasa immediately already knew exactly what Senku was up to. So that's kind
Right.
of my problem.
That's the point that's
I guess
kind
I'd
of
have
hard
to
to.
rewatch it.
That's the point that's kind of hard to agree or like understand why he would
Why
draw
he
those
would hide this
conclusions is
information.
because Senku specifically hid all this information and his intentions from Tsukasa.
Which if Senku is a good judge of character on most people, if he realized that Tsukasa was this smart and he was gonna piece the information together anyways, it doesn't behoove him or benefit him from
To hide it
hiding
in the
that
first place?
information. Yes. That's kind of
Yeah,
my problem.
I guess I'd have to rewatch it because I haven't seen that part in a while. So it wasn't that much of a logical leap for me, but I could just be misremembering things. So I mean that's entirely fair.
But yeah. Good show.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and do a little something different with this week's episode. So Jake and Joey actually both have some other shows that I guess it's kind of similar to the Fresh Perspective segment, but really it's just it's more of like a recommendation thing. They just want to talk about a couple shows that they've been watching, and maybe try to sell you guys on it. So Joey, why don't you go ahead?
Yours is new this season, right, Joey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
One of the
think it is.
simulcasts
Yeah.
from this
So
season.
I have a couple I wanted to talk about. But I'll be quick. I'm not going to take an hour on each one. I promise. One of them that I guess one of the big shows that I guess I'll start with is Ranking of Kings, and it's actually really good. Wit Studio is a fantastic studio, or Studio Wit is a fantastic studio that was in charge of the first 3 seasons of Attack on Titan. They also did the fantastic, oh my god, I can't remember the name of it. Oh,
Oof.
it was the Viking show on Amazon.
Vinland Saga?
Yes, yeah, they
Vinland
also
Saga
did
was
Vinland
so
Saga.
good.
If you haven't watched, well, obviously people have watched Attack on Titan, but if you haven't watched Vinland Saga, check it out. Fantastic show.
I mean, if you like
Also,
Vikings,
yeah,
the
massive
show
character
the show
development.
or just Vikings in general.
Yeah, it's
Vinland Saga's sick.
it's absolutely incredible. And they just knock it out of the park with Ranking of Kings. The initial like look of the show is very, very contradictive to what the show actually deals with. It deals with a lot of really adult like themes, huge character development, and great character moments. It's just it you cannot judge this book by its cover because it will surprise you in like really the first two episodes. It's fantastic, and it actually has a the first opening sequence was just okay. The second one, the current one right now, I don't skip ever. It's got a great
Nice.
opener. But yeah, Ranking of Kings, check it out. You will not be disappointed. The second one is actually one of the current brand new, another brand new show, and it's called Sabiki Bisco. This show is so crazy and over the top. It's hilarious. It is a post-apocalyptic world set upon by a like a disease, yeah, like a virus of some kind that they call rust, and it affects everything. It's presumably what caused the apocalypse to begin with, and there are mushrooms and fungi that everyone thinks spread the disease, and so they're worried about mushrooms and everything, and they keep away from them. But actually, the main character, Bisco, is a mushroom keeper, and he lets us know very quickly that mushrooms actually absorb the rust itself, and they actually help things, but they can be a deadly weapon in of itself. So a lot of people confuse the two, and obviously some mushroom keepers just aren't good people, so they automatically have a bad reputation. And he's trying to heal his mentor, who has developed rust, and he finds a doctor in a city who's helping people and also experimenting on the side with mushrooms to heal his sister, who has rust.
I'm sorry, it's just funny. Experimenting on the side with mushrooms, by the way.
It's got a lot of those funny moments, and
Yeah.
it's
I will say I actually watched the first episode of this, and I walked away thinking like, wow,
yeah,
I'm not entirely sure what to make of this, because here we had a dude firing off arrows that generated giant mushrooms. So
yep,
this is kind of whack.
yeah. It's definitely wacky, and then you have the hippos with machine guns. That might have been in the second episode, but
Yeah, I didn't see that.
yeah, there's he's at the gate in the first episode. Remember, he gets stopped by the people at the gate,
Yeah.
and that goes bad in the second episode, and they find out who he is, and he starts running away from them, and they release. There's a line specifically where he says, "They release the hippos," and
Don't fear the kraken, fear the hippos.
yeah. And so initially I'm thinking, oh, okay, well that's just a name for some like vehicle or whatnot. No, it's not. They're actual hippos with mounted machine guns on them that they are chasing after them.
The deadliest weapon known to humanity.
Yeah, Jake, I can see your face. You're like, what the hell is going on?
Well,
Yeah,
that was my face when I saw the dude shooting mushrooms with a bow.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
already got confused by when
what
you
the
said
hell?
that.
Yeah, he also rides a giant crab. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Hand,
So,
head in hand, just
yeah, it's a roller coaster, but
Mm.
it is worth it. It's really good so far, and you can you never know what's going to come next. Clearly, I don't. I'm just enjoying the ride, and it holds up too, story wise.
So you recommend both of these shows then for people to pick up this season?
Yes, they should pick up both those shows this season. They should also. This is an older show, but it has gotten significantly better, and I think you can actually avoid the biggest issue that a lot of people had with this show previously if you watch. I know a lot of people won't want to do this, but if you watch the English dub, you can avoid the biggest issue that people had, which is Black Clover. Yes. Yeah. I know everyone already knows what the issue was.
Before you even say anything, everybody knows Asta is annoying as hell.
Yes.
However, when you get over the initial hump, he becomes far less annoying.
Yeah.
And this show builds up.
Yes.
This show builds up. And it is so good and so hype. Good.
Yes. If you stepped away from the show initially, consider coming back to it because
it's sick.
Where does it get sick? Because I've stepped away from it, but I was fairly deep in this show.
Well,
let me got tired of it.
Well, you're a little bit of a different case because Jake does not particularly.
Jake doesn't like good things.
He doesn't care much for like the shonen.
Excuse you.
The shonen style. Let's see.
Probably around episode 12 or 13. No, probably deeper than that. It's like
it has to be deeper than that.
In my opinion, when it gets really sick, is episode 33.
Do you know what that would?
Yeah, episode 33.
I did not watch the anime. I read the manga. Would you be able to tell me what chapter in the manga that is?
No, but they went to a cave. Some people got kidnapped, and they followed them to a cave.
Yeah,
Does that sound familiar to you?
That happened a long time ago, I believe. I need to see now before I.
It's when they introduce the Eye of the Midnight Sun.
Yeah, it's Yami's first fight in the series.
Anyways, Joey.
I argue it starts to pick up before that, but Jake
we'll have to discuss this later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Black Clover is really sick, and I'm very eager for the show to continue. Although I know that it got close to the manga, so it's going to be a
it's actually in the same arc right now.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be a while.
But I think the show really just builds up for sure.
Builds up really well.
And it's become more than just a shonen in my opinion. Although it's still shonen at its core. There's a lot more to it that I don't know. I just really liked. I can't obviously say anything because spoilers. Maybe one day we'll do a video on Black Clover for if anybody wants to hear us talk about it. I know Joey and I have talked about doing episodes on like Black Clover or Hunter or ReZero, World Trigger, stuff like that. So I mean, if if anybody's watching this and is interested in any of those, just
let us know down below. Comment section, we read it.
Hey, do an episode on this show that I love, you idiots, and we'll take a look.
Yeah.
So, anyways, there's a few recommendations from Joey, and then there's one more. Jake wants to talk about a bit of a fan favorite.
A lot of people like this one. I don't even know if I have to. It's gonna get my glowing recommendation, just let me tell you. But I don't think I have to recommend this to most people. But it's My Dress Up Darling, which
I want to disagree based on spite so badly.
But you can't because you love it.
I can't because it's actually a really good show.
It's very good. It is. How would I describe this? It is a lot of fan service, but extremely wholesome at the same time.
Mhm.
So it's all about this kid, Gojo. He's super introverted. He doesn't have friends. He's just been working with his grandfather on making Hina dolls because he
Very
loves
sheltered.
it. Very sheltered. He loves it. He wants to make these. He wants to do it as well as his grandfather.
Jay,
But
probably describe what Hina dolls are for.
okay, some
yeah,
people might not know what Hina dolls are.
Yeah.
They're very small, extremely well crafted, handcrafted, hand painted dolls from Japan. They also get like a bunch of like hand stitched dresses that you can put on them, so you can dress them up however you want.
Yeah, they're made entirely by hand.
Yes, and it is an extremely intricate craft, which his grandfather is very talented at, and Gojo wants to be very talented at. So Gojo knows how to sew, he knows how to paint things, do makeup, all this stuff to learn for these Hina dolls. And
funeral rites.
Yeah. And basically it is frowned upon by everybody else he knows, essentially. One of the earliest scenes is there's this girl who basically says, "You're not allowed to like that. You're a boy. How you can't like dolls." And that kind of pushes Gojo into his reclusive nature. But we get introduced to what I think most people would say is, if not best girl in the past long while, at least best girl of this season.
Oh, it's not even close.
Not even close. There's nobody else. We've got Marin Kitagawa. Marin Kitagawa. What can we say about Marin Kitagawa? She's popular. She's pretty. What is the...
What can we say about Marin that TikTok hasn't already said?
Not much, because TikTok talks a lot. But anyways, Marin finds out that Gojo can sew. That's the first big thing. And of course, Marin wants to get into cosplaying characters. So she asks Gojo to make her a dress.
Very wholesome.
It's very wholesome. I love this show. We get a lot of fan service. Even starting in episode 1, we're getting fan service.
So it's got a twist. Okay, the initial premise is that Gojo works with handcrafted dolls, and so he's very good at arts and crafts, and it would make him good at being a cosplay designer. And she wants to be a cosplayer.
Yep.
Very, very wholesome. There's a twist, and this is very important for her character. She wants to cosplay as, specifically the first outfit she does, a character from an eroge. She wants to cosplay as porn characters.
Not just as porn characters. That's just the first one she wants to be from.
The first one. She loves the series, and this is how the show is also very funny. The initial scene where she finds out that Gojo can sew and whatnot is just laced at the end of episode 1 into the start of episode 2. Hilarious.
Messy girls too. What can we say?
Slimy.
Is it slimy?
Yes, it's slimy girls. And
I thought I read messy.
No. It's slippery girls.
Slippery. You're right.
It's slippery girls too. And oh god, it's just, you fall in love with the show really quickly. They do a great job.
While there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of fan service in this show, it is nicely balanced out with it being a very, very wholesome rom-com.
Yeah.
It's I don't know how they did it, but they found that perfect balance of
they really did.
there is a lot, and I've said it so many times already in this show, and Joey has said it, but there's a lot of fan service. If you don't like fan service, you could still try and enjoy this show, but you probably won't.
Honestly, it's tasteful though.
It
I
is.
mean,
That's why I said it's
not,
wholesome. It's wholesome.
Yeah, it's not in your face. Here's tits and ass. You know,
I mean,
go crazy. It's not.
I disagree
foodgasm.
with that.
I don't know. I think the scenes that it has it in there make sense for the fan service to be in those scenes. It's not random.
It is not random fan service. That's
Yeah.
true. But it is.
I mean, it's there.
It's there.
It's there. Yes.
But
So
this
if you
is
just dislike fan service in principle, then yes,
Yeah.
it's not for you. But
if you don't like fan service only when there's not a specific purpose to it. As in it's just shoved in your face like Code Geass, perhaps.
Fairy Tail.
Then if that's what you don't like, that's not what this show is. If there's fan service, there is always technically a reason that it is in there.
Yeah.
Okay, but Code Geass is actually good.
No, Code Geass is fantastic, but you can't disagree
Yeah,
that
the
it just
fan
has
service is
fan
just
service put in there for no reason.
Random
Yeah,
fucking
it's just
fan service.
Yep,
I love Code Geass. Don't get me wrong.
it's fantastic.
Sword Art Online.
Code Geass just seems more prolific in random fan service that just shouldn't have been there to me.
You haven't watched enough SAO then.
I've watched all of SAO, so I disagree with you.
There's so. Oh, that's a tangent.
Anyways,
we'll get off track. But anyways, fantastic show. I've only described just about the first episode. There's, I think, 8 episodes out right now. Go watch it. It's good. I recommend it.
Really good. It's definitely going to be in contention for best romance, if not outright just the victor.
I think so.
And I mean, Komi-san is really good, and that's continuing. But
and I love Komi-san, but this show is better.
This is just
it is.
Yeah.
Boom. You heard it here.
Ryan,
Not first. Other people have talked about it.
Oh,
but
for sure.
Not first.
I think you have also a romance that you're watching.
I do?
Off-brand that or you plan to watch the second season of.
Which one is
Something
that?
about there might be a battle going on in this a metaphorical battle, maybe a war.
Kaguya-sama?
Yeah.
Love is War? I'm not ready to I have to catch up. I'm not ready to talk about Kaguya-sama Love is War. However,
yeah, but you can give it a recommendation.
I wasn't going to talk about this. I wasn't even thinking about it, but you brought it up. Kaguya-sama Love is War is so funny and so just like crazy and witty and just everything in between. It is like it's one of those shows that when you watch it you're like, this is anime.
Yep.
Boom, this is anime, but like in the best ways. Kaguya-sama Love is War, if you haven't seen it somehow, man,
You've seen the dance.
it's
You've
so
seen
great.
the dance.
Yeah, the Chica dance, you've definitely seen the Chica
you've
dance. Even if
definitely
you
seen
had
the
no
Chica
idea where it
dance.
was from,
Yep.
you saw it on the internet when the first season came out. I guarantee it.
Yeah, you did.
This show it's super good. It's really fun. It's a great ride.
I
Check
think
it out.
that's one of the few shows where I could say the ending is much more prolific than the opening.
Yeah.
Just because of that dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, anyways, I think that just about does it for this week's episode.
Yeah.
Thanks again, everybody, for showing up
guys.
and watching. Like I was saying earlier, if you want to hear us talk about something else, maybe it's a new show or manga or an old show or manga, I promise we will try our damnedest to at least check it out. If it's real good, we'll probably all watch or read it. But just let us know.
Let us know if you like this new segment.
Yeah.
recommendations in general.
Yeah.
We can add this in.
Sometimes we might be scratching our heads for ideas on maybe new things to fill time with. But if you guys want to see stuff, just let us know. And yeah, I'm Ryan. That's Joey. That's Jake. We're taking off. See you guys.
Like, comment, subscribe.
See you later.